hello, boys and girls. Will you be my neighbor? All right, let's talk about some common sense today, because it's a topic that has to be discussed, even though it shouldn't. When people go out of their way to make life difficult on others, I'm not talking about the accidental, whoops, my bads, sorry, I didn't mean to bump into you thing. I'm talking about when people make it a point to make your day a living hell. Like they just follow you around and, you know, just keep poking at that one fucking stupid button you have. That one thing that just like really sends you over the edge, right? Common sense is sooner or later somebody's going to get enough of it and they're going to snap on you. But when you call the cops or you go to a teacher or you go and report it to the principal or the guidance counselor or whoever the powers may be, they tell you it's not a big deal. Don't worry about it. It'll go away if you ignore it. Well, that's not the case. The police are useless when it comes to being there when you need them. This isn't their fault. It's an inherent flaw of the system. The system we've seen over and over again will allow anyone to get away with absolutely anything if they have enough money and the proper resources. I hate to beat a dead horse, but O.J. Simpson, we all knew, even the police that arrested him knew, he killed Nicole Brown and Ron Goldman. We also all knew, the police all knew, he was a woman beater. He beat the crap out of his wife on a regular basis. Now, frankly, being in abusive relationships, she's a moron and she got exactly what she deserved for staying with him. But the point I'm making is, we all knew he was guilty, but he had money, so he got away with murder. But they found another BS charge to catch him on later, after Johnny Cochran died and he had no defense. This is one of a lot. I mean, I'll run out of fingers if I try and count them all. There are many, many, many proof positives that money will get you out of any sort of trouble. That shows the system is broken. It's worthless, it's useless, and it's tilted in favor of whoever has a larger bank account. Perfect example. Last year, I believe it was last year, it may have been earlier this year. Anyway, time melds into one day for me. That's what happens when you don't sleep very often. This kid, he was 16 years old, and he was drunk, off his ass, driving a full-size SUV, and he killed 4 people. He ran them over. His parents were rich. We're talking Bill Gates rich. He goes to court, and the family, the people he killed weren't poor. They were middle class. I mean, they weren't poor like, us. Odds are you're not, rich. Otherwise, you probably wouldn't be sitting on YouTube. And he literally got away with multiple murders. 4 murders. And you know what they said? He has a disease called affluency. In other words, because he's rich, he can't help murdering people. He don't know no better. Well, where I'm from, ignorance is no excuse. Doesn't matter if you know better or not, you're still wrong. But because he has money, he got away with it with 3 years house arrest and probation. But I guarantee you, whoever you are watching this, or me, if I got in my truck right now, got shit-faced to the biker bar across the street, and plowed in to 4 college kids at U of A, their mommies and daddies are stacked and loaded. Okay? I barely get $900 a month myself. Alright? And I earned that money, so whatever. I will be in jail so fast with a bond so high, no one I've ever even met, let alone know personally, could pay to get me out. And they would see to it I got the electric chair, or lethal injection, or hanging, or firing squad, or gas chamber. We still use hanging and firing squads, and they're moving to the guillotine. You might want to start doing your research on Agenda 21, stuff like that. Anyway, before we digress into that stuff in politics, you can't have any faith in this system. Not the police, not the doctors, not the lawyers, not the judges, not your landlords. Uh, it's not their fault. Their rules are set up in a manner that pulls towards the money. Perfect example. Here in Tucson, Arizona, and this was a stat from last year. I forget where I read it. But where I live in District 3. You don't know what that is? It's a bad neighborhood. Really, really bad. Not near as bad as where I lived in Atlanta. Not anywhere close to where as bad as where I lived in Ohio. It's definitely nowhere as nice as where I lived in Indiana. And it's not even close to Brunswick, Georgia. And Jacksonville, Florida, the crime there is not even scary in the least. It's a whole bunch of wannabes. Anywho, the police response time here for an aggravated assault and battery with a deadly weapon is up to 30 minutes. Response time for SWAT in a hostage situation is anywhere from 20 minutes to 45 minutes. The whole city could have been dead in that time. I'm exaggerating, but you could kill more than a few people in 45 minutes. But in the foothills, which is down by the mountains in either direction, because Tucson is in a basin, so there's mountains everywhere, and we live in like this big bowl. So the rich people live out by the mountains. All right. The response time to the foothills in an aggravated assault and battery situation for regular police is anywhere from 3 to 7 minutes. Gets better. The response time for a SWAT situation, SRT, in a hostage type deal, is about 10 to 15 minutes in the rich area. Alright, that's faster response time than Davis-Monthan Air Force Base down the road. So you do the math. You live in an apartment that costs $600 or $700, a month, and the cops take almost hours to get there because someone, pulled a gun on you, right? Okay. You move to the place where you can't even rent a condo. They're going for $180,000, and that's just a down payment. That's not even close to the price they want to move you in. That's just to hold it for you. And the cops are there in 5 minutes. You can't tell me with a straight face, after looking at these facts, that there's any way on earth this system is unbiased, non-partial, and fair. There's nothing fair about the justice system. Alright? I went to jail in Orange Park, Florida back in 2004. I had 2 misdemeanors. Criminal mischief and resisting without violence. Alright. Now, I had 3 people watching this altercation with the police. 2 were my roommates and 1 was someone else. I was angry. I was in the wrong. I was busting out boards in a fence with my hands. Well, the police car comes up. Now, I didn't say anything. I didn't make any threatening movements. He said, "Get on the effing ground now or I'll shoot you." Now, I turned around calmly, and these people were witnessing this. I said, "You don't need to curse. I'll get on the ground. As soon as I got on my knees, and I'm not even making this up, as soon as my knees touched the ground, this guy hit me with an elbow to the forehead. He rushed me. Now, from this moment forward, I lost my cool. That's excessive use of force. There were no weapons involved, other than the dumb cop pulling a gun on someone that was calm and well outside of 10 feet away, who was very lucid, and I was being very respectful to him. I was following all verbal commands and not showing any threatening postures. Well, as soon as he hit me in the head with the elbow, he caught me right here. He knocked me back, and he went to jump on me. Well, there was a huge fight. I managed to take his taser from him and threw it across the lawn. I have 3 witnesses to this whole thing. 2 more squad cars rolled up. Well, I ended up kicking him off of me. It was probably like a 10-minute fight with these police officers. Orange Park Sheriff's deputies and Jacksonville Sheriff's Office, JSO, and their counterparts. Well, by the end of it, there were 8 police officers trying to subdue me after I was handcuffed. Because halfway through it, one of the officers said, "Get off of him. Let's try and apprehend him a different way." Because I was face down in the dirt, and, one guy had already had, a tooth knocked out of his mouth. So basically, they tased me, all right, twice in this fight. They used the stun gun on me 4 times, up and down my ribs and up and down the back of my neck. And I was still managing to just completely own them. When they got off of me, he basically stepped back, put his hand on his gun, and all the rest of them, I guess he was the sergeant, their pecking order leader. He said, sorry, I'm looking at a plane going by and picking my nose. Ooh, shinies. He said, "Are you going to come peacefully?" I said, "That officer hit me in the head with an elbow and I didn't do anything." And you heard my roommates across the way say, "Yeah, he attacked him." He says, "So are you going to come?" I said, "Yes." The officer asked me to turn around, and I put my hands out, He came up, bam, bam, handcuffed me. All right, cool. Sat me on the back of the squad car, and they're documenting all the bruises and the scrapes on me. Well, one officer apparently had a broken nose. The other guy had a tooth completely knocked out. I think it was one of these teeth right here, right behind the canines. It was completely knocked out, roots and everything. One cop had his ear bleeding because I'd hit him in the ear. He's probably still deaf to this day, but you get what you ask for. And anyway, so I'm sitting on the trunk of the car. Well, not sitting, I'm propped up. And they're asking me, "Are you okay? Do you need an EMT or anything?" Bear in mind, I'm 387 pounds at this time. I'm 5'7". I was 24 years old. 387 pounds. I had just been taken off active duty from Iraq and put in my 2-year reserve status. I had just lost my mother. Like, literally. The year before, my mom had just died. So I was not going to put up with anyone with, overcompensating issues, if you know what I'm saying. These people who like to be a badass because this is, what they're packing. And they can't keep a girl because they can't even get good penetration. Sucks to be you. Anyway. Well, the sergeant went back to his cruiser. He was typing everything in. Well, the officer who had hit me in the head. Now, bear in mind, I had a goose egg on my forehead sticking out this far by the end of the fight. That's about 3 millimeters. And it was this big around on my head where he'd hit me with the elbow. My lips were busted. I had blood coming out of my nose. I had a petechial hemorrhage in this side of my eye. By the way, 2 of the other officers had black eyes by the time it was done. So apparently I hit them pretty hard. I saw them the next day in court, and they were really jacked up. Well, he walks by me, And I'm sitting on, I'm propped against the trunk of the car, behaving and minding orders and answering questions. And he goes, "You think you're some kind of badass, don't you, boy?" And I said, "No, sir. You attacked me and I'm defending myself." And he said, "We'll see how well you can defend yourself when we get you to Duval County Jail." Anywho, so I'm sitting there and I didn't do anything. I was just waiting for, them to put me in the back of the car or whatever. And he comes up and he says, "If you chip my car, that's a felony." I said, "I'm not doing anything to your car. I'm standing where I was told." And he says, "Don't get mouthy with me, boy." And I said, "I'm not being disrespectful. I'm not doing anything. I'm standing here." So he grabs me by my shirt and by the back of my head and tries to just slam me on the ground again. Well, now another 5 to 10 minute altercation starts. So this is almost 20 minutes total of fighting police officers, with probably about a 5 or 6 minute break in between for, all that crap. Well, I'm handcuffed now, and I'm just catching them as they're running in. I'm kicking them, I'm hitting them with knees, I'm headbutting them. I actually managed to throw one of them. Now, how you do that handcuffed, you're probably never going to find a martial arts teacher to teach you that. That's more of that's Uncle Sam's specialty. They teach us stuff like that. They teach us stuff like that in Airborne, and you meet the right people, they'll show you how to do all types of cool stuff. Well, they ended up pulling a taser, and they said, "We can't tase him. He's handcuffed. It's illegal. We can't tase him handcuffed." I didn't know. I'd already been tased twice, so I didn't give a shit. Well, finally, my roommate said, "Stop. Just stop fighting them." And I said, "Fuck them. This guy's trying to start a fight with me." Well, long story short, I got down to Duval County Jail, did 30 days, 29 days, right after I had first appearance. I had time served, got out. A week passed, all right. Two warrant officers come to my house at 11:30 at night. And I go back for another 7 days. And they made the matter civil, so I had to pay $487 to get my license back. And obviously I paid it because I have a truck, and I don't break laws like that. Anyway, needless to say, the fact that I'm poor, the area I was living in, and the fact that I didn't fit the mold of what they expected someone to fight to look like, they tried to abuse their power. And if you look into psychology, no one expects someone who's 400 pounds or 70 pounds to be able to move rapidly enough to maintain their self-defense. This is a personal, and I've got a long list, but we're hitting the 20-minute mark almost, so I'm trying to cut this short. The moral of the story is, and I hate to quote, a hip-hop song, because really hip-hop is part of the downfall of the world, but if your money's long, you can stay out of jail. And frankly, I love Tech Nine. I think he's the shit. Tech Nine and Twisted, as far as hip hop goes, are okay. But he's right. If you're rich, you can murder someone, you can rape someone in broad daylight, and have every witness in town, and you'll still go home. If you're poor, there can be no witness around, and all it takes is the money to get you put in jail. These are perfect examples why not to have faith in the system. Take care of yourself, take care of your loved ones, and get with people that'll take care of you. If you're single, if you're a couple, find a group that'll help teach you these things. I teach tons of martial arts and combatives and hand-to-hand skills and guns, rifles, shotguns, you name it. I teach all of it for free. All someone has to do is get in touch with me and meet with me somewhere, and I'll teach stuff you're not going to learn. I guarantee you're not going to learn it anywhere in America. I've learned these things in the Philippines. I've learned them in Japan. I've learned them in Russia, Germany, India. I've learned stuff in Egypt, Kuwait, Baghdad, God, and all that's on top of what my teacher Jason Melcher taught me when I was, growing up. So, not to mention what Uncle Sam taught me in combatives and hand-to-hand stuff. So, peace out. Take care of yourselves and everyone around you, man, because it's the only world we got. And if we don't take care of it, no one else is.